Hello, hello. Julie Sawchuk here. How's everybody today? Just working my way through finding where you are. Tell me where you are watching from today. I see Lara. I feel like Mr. Rogers. Oh my goodness, what's going on? There we go. Here I am. Technology. In my home office today, I've been away for a few days on some site visits. I'll tell you about that. But we're here today just to celebrate. It's going to be National Accessibility Week, starting on Sunday for a full 7 days of celebrating all of the awesome accessibility that's happening across the country. And today I just want to tell you about some of the people that I've been working with and some of the things that I know about that are going on. And I hope that you will take the chance to maybe on your social media channels this week, post post something that you know about in terms of a place that's doing really well with their access. I have Lara from Kitchener and David watching from Consicon. Hello, and hello, Madeline. I thank my fashion sponsor, Pick a Posy, for providing me with this amazing necklace. Just one of the things that Jennifer has in her beautiful stash of jewelry. And if I had been able to be outside today, I'd be wearing my new hat. We're out in the garden, but it's pouring rain. So this is also Jennifer. Thank you, Pick a Posy. And yeah, I'm rocking the crazy hair today. So, I also wanted to show you some of my amazing art that I have in my house. This is a painting by Greg Sherwood. Greg and I used to work together, and it's kind of like a little gallery of Greg Sherwood's here in my house, but nobody gets to come in and see them anymore. So I thought I would share them with you here. At the beginning of the week, I decided that I was going to post something every day to celebrate the start of National Accessibility Week. I kind of got ahead of myself, but then I also got behind at the same time. So I've got a few updates on my LinkedIn and on my Facebook, talking about some of the things. But I wanted to share those with you today, and one of them is the Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee. We do awards every year for businesses and private sector organizations that are doing accessibility awesomeness in Huron County. So if you know somebody that should be nominated for a Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee Award, get in touch and let us know. Let me know, send me an email, or post it up on my Facebook so that we can get in touch with you and find out who they are and why you think they should be nominated for an accessibility award in Huron County. There's my email address, julie@juliesawchuk.ca, so you can be in touch about that. There's a few other things that are happening with the Accessibility Advisory Committee in the county. One is that we've been working with the Bayfield Main Street redevelopment and helping make that project go smoothly and be as accessible as possible. So that's a work in progress. I know it's been happening for a while in terms of making things great. So those plans are coming along. And the other thing that the county is working on is getting an accessible washroom trailer. So this would be something that would be set up at local events around the county, like Music in the Fields or at Threshers here in BWBLive, so that there can be an accessible outdoor bathroom. And obviously everything just kind of went on hold when there weren't going to be any outdoor events. But that project is still, it's still on the books. We still want to see it happen. So stay tuned for information about that. If you want to be involved, if you would like to sponsor the project, we'll be looking for sponsors for people to help make that a reality. It will be an accessible washroom trailer that will get carried from event to event. The event, I don't know how it's all going to work out, but we want people of all ages and all abilities to be able to access washrooms when they're at outdoor events. And we all know that porta potties are not accessible, even the big ones. So that's something that is on the plans, kind of on my list of things to do. So I really need to get that going again. As I said earlier, I have been doing some site visits. I was actually away from the house. It's the first time I have left the county in months, like months. And these particular site visits in the city of Vaughan, they've been kind of on my books for a while, and I've just been waiting to be able to be out and be safe, right? So I've got my vaccine, just the first shot, but the sites where I was visiting are all still in lockdown, and I wanted to get to them before they reopened. A couple of recreation centers, libraries, and fire stations. It took me a little while to sort of wrap my head around rating the accessibility of a fire station. But when you think about it, and like I said, it took me a while to come around to this idea. You can't be a firefighter and have a physical disability, a vision loss disability, or hearing loss, right? You need that part of the job is all of that physicality and, right, being able to see and hear what's going on. So, why do we need to worry about the fire halls being accessible? Well, let's look at it from this point of view. They're city-owned buildings, and they're also potential sites for emergency situations. So, flood, fire, whatever, natural disaster, and people need a place to go. Maybe they would be going to the fire hall. So everybody needs to be able to get in, get around, and use the washroom at the fire hall. So 5 fire halls were on my list of things to do while I was in Vaughan for 3 days. And 4 of those fire halls, I would pull into the parking lot and the trucks pulled out. Like, my timing was impeccable. If I had been there 15 minutes earlier, I maybe would have caught them. So anyways, it was just funny that happened 4 separate times. Kind of slowed me down a little bit. The other site that I went to was a recreation center, and it is an older center, but they had done some updates, and it was nice to see the updates and what they had been working on. And the guys that were on the job, the facilities services staff, one of them was coming around with me to show me around the building, and excuse me, 2 of the washrooms had been updated, and I could tell they were relatively new, clean, nice tile, new sinks, new toilets, all of that. And so after I went in and did my tour of those washrooms and took the photos, I came out and said to the guys, how old are those? How old is that renovation? Like, it's in pretty good shape considering the age of the building. And they're like, oh, not that old, maybe 2-3 years. And I said, oh, great. Okay, well, they're in good shape. Has anybody noticed that there's no grab bars in those accessible stalls? So they're like, oh, right, there aren't. So my point is, and I'm not calling them out for not having done their work. My point is, not all of the boxes get ticked in a job, right? And so I want to put it out there to all of you to make sure that when you are finishing a job, you're finishing it to the level that makes it useful to everybody, looking at absolutely everything. So we talked about what needs to happen in those bathrooms to get them finished, and it's really just ordering the grab bars and getting them installed. And I said to Tony, who I was traveling around with, I said, so if there was a book that gave you diagrams and measurements and helped you know exactly how to install those grab bars, would you find that to be helpful? And he was like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And I said, that's great, because I wrote it and I have it in my car. So we went out to my car and got copies of Building Better Bathrooms for them to use. And I'll be following up with them just to make sure, see if they have any questions. And I'm excited about them being so excited, because Tony said to me, if we can do better, why wouldn't we? If we can make things better for people, why wouldn't we do that? And that just warms my heart. And that's something that I want to celebrate, right? Because those are the kind of people that are going to make the difference. Super exciting. Another project that I want to celebrate is the CSA group developing a new national building code standard for residential design for accessibility. And I'm a part of that committee, and I'm really excited about seeing that move forward. I'm helping with the bathroom and kitchen section in that new document. It's going to take time. Building codes take time, but the usefulness will be amazing. It's something that I would have used building this house if it had existed at the time. So I'm really excited about being part of that project. Be meeting with Perth County this afternoon to wrap up and get ready our age-friendly accessibility in action workshop that we're going to be hosting for businesses and municipal staff in the county of Perth, and for the rural businesses specifically, but the cities are welcome to attend as well. So we're having 2 workshops on June the 7th at 10 a.m. and June the 10th at 6 p.m. And if you can go to my social media, or you can go to the County of Perth social media or their website. You'll be able to find all of the details there. We're going to run a 1 and a bit hour workshop for strategies to help your business be accessible that are low cost and no cost. So we're not talking about, smashing down walls and making huge universal washrooms or putting in elevators. We're talking about low cost, no cost solutions to making your business work for all of the clientele that want to be there. When you reopen, you don't want to be missing out on any potential business, right? So we want to make sure that you are ready. So June 7th at 10 a.m. and June 10th at 6 p.m. We'll be running the same workshop. So it just, come when it suits you. And the first 20 businesses to register and qualify also get me for an hour to yourself to go through your business. We'll virtually look at everything that you're doing there, and I'll be able to give you some more helpful information to make sure that we can tailor some of those suggestions directly for your particular business. Another organization that I want to celebrate for National Accessibility Week, because I'm going to be talking to their staff, is Dyson. Yes, Dyson, the vacuum company. I connected with them at the Livable Environment Conference, and they're really excited about helping their hand dryer staff, so that drying your hands in the public washrooms. The Dyson Canada team to learn more about what an accessible washroom means. And so we're going to be talking about accessible washrooms, and I'm hoping I'm going to be advising them on their next model for hand drying. It's very exciting. I'm also going to be speaking with the staff at the region of Durham for their event to celebrate National Accessibility Week. And that's going to be great, because we're going to be looking at talking about how they can celebrate the things that they are doing in their region from an accessibility perspective, obviously. I'm going to be working with Perkins and Will in the month of June to run a certified CEU, Certified Education Unit workshop for the staff at the architecture firm Perkins and Will in Toronto. And I think they have some staff members in Ottawa that are coming as well. So that's very exciting. I've been working with them on a couple of projects. One specifically is a giant recreation center. So that it's not something that happens overnight, that's for sure. But we're doing some planning, which is great. What's happening around here? Cowbell's going to be reopening. So I'm going to be helping them make sure that, the tent is set up. They've got some awesome accessible picnic tables. We're going to look at the whole outdoor space so that, again, everybody can be welcome. And when talking about beer, I can't help but talk about my friend Ren and beer diversity. Ren is working on an app for craft brewers, and she invited me to be a part of that. So I have been writing some information that will be included in that app from an accessibility perspective, how these teeny tiny little craft breweries can work to make their spaces, their products, their processes, their customer training, their customer service training, and look at it all through the eyes of Sawchuk Accessible Solutions and work on building that into their beer mantra, I guess. And Brewer's Journal is also going to be publishing, I guess is the right word, publishing some articles that I've written, again, from the perspective of accessible beer. I never, ever would have imagined that I would be working with beer people. It's just, life is just funny. You never know where it's going to take you. And I also hosted a roundtable this week with the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility, Minister Honorable Raymond Cho, and his staff. And it was interesting to have some discussions with people from different aspects. We were looking specifically at rural Ontario. There's never that much discussion about accessibility in rural Ontario. So it was fun to just put it on the table and, what does rural accessibility mean? And we talked about high-speed internet and, having enough bandwidth to even have the conversation. And it was very ironic because as I'm presenting my 7-minute presentation about life in rural Ontario, and I'm trying to share my slides, right? Well, guess what happens? But I freeze and all they see is one cowbell slide for the rest of my presentation. So, right, that does just hit home that we don't have the internet, the broadband that people in other places and in more urban areas have. So that and accommodations, we talked about having residential accessible spaces that they just don't exist. So lots came up, and I know that's just going to be like the first conversation, and that I'm hoping that we will have more conversations in the future. Talking about residential, I had this amazing conversation with a property developer out west, and he is really keen to have me help them develop a community that is completely accessible, and not just the residences, but also like the street, the shops, everything in that whole development. So like there's just so much going on. Oh, and then I had this amazing conversation with Gustavo Serafini. He runs the podcast Enabled Disabled, and he reached out to me after the Livable Environment Conference as well, and he wanted to interview me for his podcast. And I was like, sure, this is great. That'll be super fun. And then I started listening to his podcast, and the caliber of his guests and the things that they speak about, I was just like, whoa, like there's no way that I fit in this, like these amazing people that have done amazing things and in their lives in terms of diversity and inclusion and accessibility and just thinking outside the box. And so I was kind of nervous about being interviewed and being on Gustavo's podcast, but you know what? It went really well, and I'm really excited to share it with you when it comes out. And that I'm not sure when that'll be, but stay tuned, and I'm sure you'll see it because I will share it. So that's it for me for today, and thank you for coming, and I hope to see you next week. Oh, before we go, what do you want me to talk about? So last week I took the week off. It was the long weekend, so I gave myself a break. But the week before that, I hung out in the Pick-a-Posy bathroom, and I talked about toilets and accessible toilets and what an accessible toilet actually looks like. And that video I'm not going to say it went viral because it certainly did not go viral, but it's had lots of views and lots of comments about it. So that was a popular topic, talking about toilets. Who knew? So what do you want me to talk about? Who do you want me to interview? What do you want to know more about in the realm of accessibility, ratings, customer service training, what do you want to hear about? I'm going to be wrapping up my school programs. Obviously, we're getting into June, and that's just about time for kids to actually take some time off. Won't that be nice for them? But that'll start up again in the fall. So anyways, send me a message. Drop it in the chat right now if you want. Melissa, thanks for coming. And I hope to hear from you. And I will see you all next week again for another Building Without Barriers Live with Julie Sawchuk. Send me an email. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my Facebook or my LinkedIn. And we'll talk again soon.